there's just something that I couldn't help but think about, and that is Portal. I'm sure this topic might have been discussed a long time ago, but I've always wondered what Aperture Science was testing for. You remember the first test in Portal, right? The one where you simply put a cube onto a button? Have you ever stopped to think what they might have been testing for, and what kind of science they got out of it? I mean, there are a few possible explanations from what they might have been testing for. For instance, maybe Aperture was just making sure a person knew how to place a cube onto a button. Or maybe they were testing the person on their response time. Or perhaps they wanted to see if the person could even pick up the cube, because those things are apparently made up of several different metal parts. So those things must be heavy. Not heavy enough to slow someone like Shell down, but heavy enough to keep a button pressed. I got off track there, but the point still stands. What were they testing for in this test? Were they testing for one thing? Or were they testing for multiple things? It is not really made clear at any point on what they were testing for exactly. We can only guess. But for now, let us move on to the next thing Aperture tests you on. After they've made sure you can pick up a cube and place it onto a button, they throw moving portals at you. You are already kind of familiar with them, since you used them to get out of the relaxation vault, so this test shouldn't be too hard to understand. But again, what kind of science is this? What is being tested now? Is it the subject's understanding on how portals work? Is it their understanding that they know portals can move? I'm not too sure, as there's multiple possible answers here. We could just say that it's all of them, but I would like to believe that Aperture is after one particular thing. That is the kind of vibe that I get from these tests anyway. Let's move on now to the next new element. That would be the portal gun itself. Not the dual portal version, but the single portal version. So, before you even reach it, you can already see what this thing does. It fires one of those portals, blue in this case, and when you do pick it up, you instantly fire it and get out of that room without too much thought. I mean, can you even consider that to be a test? Was that even a puzzle? It didn't feel like one. It felt more like a tutorial in my eyes. Anyway, I'll try not to get too distracted and focus on what this chamber was testing for. Again, just like with all of the previous tests, this one has multiple possible answers to it, such as they were testing if the subject could use the portal gun and if they understood how they link to one another. That is what this one was doing. While that does sound pretty solid, always remember there could be another thing that they were testing for. For now though, I would just say that them wanting to know if their subject understood portals, and the portal gun to some extent, was what they were testing for. Now on to the next chamber that introduces a new element. Welcome to the high energy pellet room. So this chamber is set up in a way that it's made more than obvious that the pellet, the one that destroys itself after a short period of time, should go into the receiver. So you fire your blue portal and go on your way. But again, what was this testing for? Was it the person's reaction to the pellet? Was it how fast they could get onto the moving platform? Were they testing to see if the subject's curiosity got the better of them and they walked into the pellet? A lot of questions and a lot of potential answers too. For now though, I will leave it at that and move on to the next chamber that introduces a new element. Ah yes, toxic goo. If it weren't for GLaDOS telling you that the water was toxic, you would have never have known. Although, from the look of the goo, that alone would have been enough to discourage a lot of people from jumping in. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that stuff. Yuck. Anyway, what was this one testing for? Well, we could say that this one was testing to see if the subject had a grasp on how things work now, or if they were smart enough to avoid the two potential dangers, that being the pellet itself and the goo. Either way, this chamber definitely violates a lot of safety concerns and laws. There's no way an organization like OSHA would let Aperture get away with this. No way indeed. Now on to the next chamber that gives us a new element. So, momentum. An interesting element to add, considering that if the person messed up, they would most likely hurt themselves. Or worse, die. But I think it's been made more than clear at this point that Aperture won't hesitate to throw in some deadly hazards. So this won't be out of the ordinary for them. As for what they could be testing for this time, well, it's a bit more simple than the previous ones. They just wanted to make sure the subject knew how momentum works when using a portal gun. GLaDOS even tells you the simple version herself. So yeah, that is definitely what's been tested here. However, if you think they were testing for something else, let me know in the comments. Now on to our next element. I would believe that would be the dual portal device. Finally, a way to control where the orange portal goes. By now, the subject is very familiar with the single blue portal gun, so it won't take them long to figure out how to use orange portals. Therefore, is this testing for anything new? Or is it testing to see how fast the subject can adapt to having two portals? Perhaps it could be that, but let me know what you think of this particular test. Now on to the next chamber where a new element is introduced. That would be the turrets themselves. So, what could this one be testing for? Well, I suppose we could say that it's testing to see if the subject can avoid obvious danger, as these turrets will kill you if you stay in their line of sight for too long. Or maybe it's testing to see if the subject knows how to use their environment to their advantage, as you can use the cubes to bonk the turrets' heads and make them roll on the ground. Whatever it may be, this test is very dangerous. From that point on, no new element is introduced. It's just the same elements you have seen before done in different ways. And no, I'm not counting the companion cube as a new element, because, and I know you're going to get mad at me, it's just a cube with some hearts on it. That does not change how it behaves in any way. The only thing it does do is make you get attached to it, and I'm pretty sure that was not something Aperture was testing for. However, if they were testing for that, then that is a little messed up. So, did we figure out what Aperture was testing for? Not really. There are multiple possible things that they could have been doing, and no real way to determine which one is the right answer. Therefore, for now, I will leave it at that. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more content. I'll see you next time.